Welcome, Crucible Clerics, to another KeyForge video. This one is the last of our Age of Ascension box. And the last deck here. There's been a lot going on recently. We've had the shipments started, which I believe I've already mentioned. I haven't gotten my email yet, but I'm expecting to be one of the last ones, so I'll probably get my stuff early to mid next month. I placed a pretty huge backer or pledge. So since they're shipping by quantity, which makes sense, I'll probably be later, but that'll give me some time to think up some great videos for you guys, work on some other projects. Let's take a look at this last deck. Hoping for something big here. It's the very last one. Okay, Red Archon Dis. That's a good sign. Untamed and Sanctum. Okay, so definitely no Genka in this one. This is Estelle M. Sinkxia the 5th. Sinkxia the 5th. See if you can get a good look there. No arms, just kind of broken wings, it looks like, a turtle shell body. It looks really interesting. Maybe this will be one of those powerful Age of Ascension Untamed pods instead of the ones that have been tearing themselves apart recently. Okay, I will be right back with the card reveal. Here's a slightly closer look at that Archon there. Let's get into this card reveal. Looking for some interesting combos from this at the very least. Flip it over. Oh, okay. Starting out real strong. This is the Untamed, and we've got a rare. We've got the action Punctuated Equilibrium. A phenomenal card. Play. Each player discards their hand, then refills their hand as if it were the end of their turn. When I first got into KeyForge, I kind of didn't like this card because I didn't realize all the ins and outs of KeyForge, but this doesn't give you chains, and it isn't Omega, so it doesn't end your turn. So you can play all your Untamed stuff, Punctuated Equilibrium, draw into a full new hand, hopefully have a bunch of Untamed stuff, and then play that as well. So it's a really good efficiency card. Panpaca Jaga here is a 3-power creature with Skirmish, and creatures to the left of Panpaca Jaga in the battle line gain Skirmish. Ooh, okay, we've got Nature's Call here. It's an action with an Amber bonus and play. Return up to 3 creatures to their owner's hand. That recursion can be really good for some play effect creatures. Let's hope we got like a Hunting Witch or something. Okay, we've got some creature control here with They're Everywhere. Action with an Amber bonus, play, deal 2 damage to each enemy flank creature and 1 damage to each enemy creature not on a flank. 2 of those, that's nice. Then we've got Tandalin here. 9-power creature. It only deals 2 damage when fighting, and fight, discard a random card from your opponent's archives. Very specific, but discarding from archive is always nice. Then you've got Rustnar here, 4-power creature with fight, destroy an artifact. If that artifact had an Amber bonus, you gain that much Amber. Very nice. Some more creature control here with Persistence Hunting. It's an action with an Amber bonus, play, choose a house, exhaust each enemy creature of the chosen house. Got Marmoswarm, 2-power creature. Marmoswarm gets +1 power for each Amber in your pool. Got Grovekeeper, 3-power creature with, at the end of your turn, give each neighboring creature +1 power counter. That could be good for Rustnar or for Tandalin, some of those fight effects that would be limited by power, but if we can keep them building up power. You've got Glimmer here, 1-power creature with alpha, play, return a card from your discard pile to your hand. It's a phenomenal card, just because it says card instead of creature or something like that. We could recur a Punctuated Equilibrium if we had played it on a different turn and didn't draw into Glimmer. Then we've got Darna here, 2-power creature with play, gain 1 Amber for each damaged friendly creature, and Reap, heal 2 damage from a friendly creature. Each damaged friendly creature. Okay, well, we wanted to fight with him, so it'll work out well. We're into Sanctum now. We've got no rare, but we're starting with the Radiant Truth action. It's got an Amber bonus and play, stun each enemy creature not on a flank. That's pretty good. Then we've got the 4-power creature here, Prince Derek Unifier. Play, gain 3 amber if you control creatures from 3 different houses. Very good. If you can set that up, that's a lot of amber. Prince Derek, for those of you who don't know, got turned into a toad by Xenos Blood Shadow. It says on Toad's flavor text that he's Prince Derek. Got a Grey Rider here that'll help with the fighting in Untamed, as well as just a little bit more board control. 2-power creature with deploy and play fight reap. You may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. Ooh, we've got 2 of them. That's fantastic. There's a rule of 6 that you can do with the Grey Riders, because you'll resolve all of their text. So if your opponent's board is empty and you can't fight, you can keep playing the Grey Riders and reaping them next to each other and get about 5 or 6 amber out of them. Oh, we had 3. We'll make that combo a little easier to achieve. Then we've got the Take Hostages action here with an amber bonus and play. For the remainder of the turn, each time a friendly creature fights, it captures 1. Okay, 3 Grey Riders, that's a great one to have. Cermeros, awesome, some amber control. A 4-power 2-armor creature with after your opponent gains amber by reaping, Cermeros captures it. Fantastic. Shield of Justice, it's an amber bonus, it's an action with an amber bonus. Play, for the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature cannot be dealt damage. That's really good for those Grey Rider turns. Wow, okay. 2 of those, not bad. We've got an upgrade here, Protect the Weak. This creature gets +1 armor and gains taunt. Nice, okay. We've got some decent targets for that. Then we've got the Hallowed Shield artifact here. Action, choose a creature. For the remainder of the turn, the chosen creature cannot be dealt damage. It's like a repeatable version of the Shield of Justice. We've got 2 of those. And that's it. We're moving into Dis with a very well-known creature. People aren't a huge fan of. 9-power Pit Lord here. It's got 2 amber bonus on it and taunt. While Pit Lord is in play, you must choose Dis as your active house. Let's hope we can get some sort of board wipe in here, or some sort of recursion where we can kill our own Pit Lord, because those 2 amber bonuses are nice, but being forced to choose Dis can get real rough. Okay, we've got some good artifact control here with Poltergeist. It's an action with an amber bonus. Play, use an artifact controlled by any player as if it was yours, and destroy that artifact. We've got the action Pain Reaction here. It's a little bit of creature control. It's got an amber bonus in play. Deal 2 damage to an enemy creature. If this damage destroys that creature, deal 2 damage to each of that creature's neighbors. We've got Gongoozle here. Deal 3 damage to a creature. If it's not destroyed, the owner discards a random card from their hand. Very good. And we've got the Gold Key Imp here. Okay. Well, we can get the Gold Key Imp on the board if we really need to stall in late game. It's a 2-power creature with elusive, and players cannot forge their 3rd key. Okay, Blood Art Shard Imp might help us get rid of the Pit Lord or the Gold Key Imp on time. It's a 2-power creature with after a creature reaps its controller must sacrifice it. We've got Yurk here, some decent efficiency. 4-power creature with choose. Play, choose and discard a card from your hand. Schuler for some amber control. 5-power creature with play. If your opponent has 4 or more amber, steal 1. Not bad. 2 of those, okay. Be good with the Gold Key Imp if we get locked up behind. We've got Gub here. It's a 1-power creature with while Gub is not on a flank, it gets +5 power and gains taunt. There's not another card there. Then we've got the action Cull the Weak with an amber bonus. Destroy the least powerful enemy creature. Got 2 of those, and that's it. Okay, so no great way to get rid of our own Pit Lord. We just have to hope that there's some good targets for fighting, or if we can keep our Blood Shard Imp alive, we'll have to call Dis twice in a row, but it might be worth it with how much amber we can get out of that. The 2 from Pit Lord, the Reaping, that would cause Blood Shard Imp to go off. So we'll have to see. It'll require some very specific handcrafting, I think, to pull it off to its best. Okay, well, give me just one moment and we'll be back with the deck breakdown. And here we are with the deck breakdown. I've got it in the usual piles: Amber Control, Expected Amber, Artifact Control, and Creature Control. It's not bad. There is the SAS. We're looking at 66. It's got a lot of synergy. It works well with itself. The -1 in meta is from our Amber Control, which makes sense. It doesn't really count Gold Key Imp as Amber Control because it's just stopping a key. It doesn't stop any form of Amber gain. And then we only really have like 4 cards that deal with Amber Control, but we'll check that out in a second. Everything else seems to be in order. Here is our extras and counts. So we've got 16 bonus Amber, which is not bad. 2 lower than I typically prefer, but it puts us at a pretty good spot, getting through our deck. Especially Punctuated Equilibrium will help us with that. Stuff like Yerk as well. If we can cycle, we can probably get all the Amber we need for our keys. Just have to hope our opponent can't stop us. Then we've got 14 action cards, which is about average, maybe a little bit more. 19 creatures, which is like 1 above average. We've got 2 artifacts in the Hollowed Shields, which is below average. And then 1 upgrade in Protect the Weak. No board wipes, Scaling Amber, Key Cheats, or Archives this deck. Let's get into it, get those out of here. So in our Amber Control, the big thing is going to be Sir Marrows, keeping Sir Marrows alive. We're going to need to put Protect the Weak onto one of his neighbors if we can't get someone with Taunt or some form of protection already there. It would be awesome if we could get maybe Grovekeeper on one side and then like Tandlin with Protect the Weak, because of how high Tandlin's power is. But after your opponent gains Amber by Reaping, Sir Marrows captures it. The only stealing that we have in the form of Amber Control, or just like permanent getting rid of, is with Schuler here. We've got 2 Schulers, which is nice, but we'll have to make sure to play them at opportune times. We have to hope that we get them when we can actually use them, because other than that, we're just capturing. And then we have Take Hostages as our strongest Amber Control here. Each time a friendly creature reaps, each time a friendly creature fights, it captures 1, which is pretty good with the Shield of Justice. Since they won't be taking damage, we can just fight with all of them. And if we're really tied up and we've got all 3 Grey Riders on the board, we can Take Hostages and Shield of Justice, and then just fight them for the rule of 6 to capture a bunch of Amber, which could be really good. Help stall out until we can maybe get the Gold Key Imp on the board or whatever. So then we've got the Expected Amber here, starting with our lowest as Pit Lord. Pit Lord is decent like board protection, but it's all about the 2 Amber. I really wish we had like a Gateway to Dis or an Unlocked Gateway that we could use to get rid of him. Because him forcing Dis means we can't even go into like Untamed and do Nature's Call on him or anything like that. We just have to choose Dis until he's gone. And our opponent, if they're smart, will probably just stop playing creatures and then make us deal with it. Then we've got our Prince Derek Unifier here. Gain 3 Amber if you control 3 different houses. I think we could definitely make that happen with this deck. We've got like 1 creature above average, and it seems like the type of deck we'd want to play him out. I think it's spread between houses pretty well also. Yeah, we've got a lot of creatures in each house, so definitely possible that 3 Amber would be big. And Darna is okay in this deck. We want to do a lot of fighting, so outside of those like Shield of Justice turns, I feel like we could get a decent amount of Amber from Darna if we can go into Untamed after a big Sanctum turn. Then of course our Grey Riders are here. They could also technically go into Creature Control because they're ready in fight, but the ideal scenario is our opponent has nothing on the board, or we fight it off before getting the Grey Riders on there, and then we can get a bunch of Amber from them. Then we're into Artifact Control here. We've got Rusnar, which is the fight to destroy an artifact and get an Amber bonus if the artifact had any. And then Poltergeist, which will let us use and destroy an enemy artifact. Poltergeist is really good. Rustnar, I've always had mixed feelings on. I feel like I've said it a couple of times throughout this display, but it's just 4 power is really awkward. I would almost rather Rustnar be like 3 power and skirmish or something. Make that fight effect more plausible and worth it. And then lastly, we're into our creature control here. So we've got the Blood Shard Imp, which after a creature reaps, its controller must sacrifice it, which will unfortunately most likely be used on our side to targeted get rid of like Pit Lord or Gold Key Imp if we're at the key and our opponent isn't. Then we've got Gongoozle here, which is play, deal 3 damage to a creature. If it's not destroyed, its owner discards a random card from their hand. Most of the time we'll probably be using this to destroy. We don't have a whole lot of really powerful creature control, so it's important that we actually get rid of creatures to set up for the Grey Rider. But that added form of disruption is really good if we're in a situation where we just kind of get it. Ideally, we could hit like a 5 power creature with Gongoozle and then hit them with Pain Reaction to deal 2 damage to them and their neighbors. We've got Persistence Hunting, which lets us exhaust an enemy, or all creatures of a chosen house, but if it's untamed that we're choosing, we'll just use all of our creatures first. Then we've got 2 Call the Weaks, destroying the least powerful enemy creature. These are good. Again, targeted, like just straight up destruction is going to be really important for this deck for those Grey Riders. Then we've got the Radiant Truth here. Stun each enemy creature not on a flank. Good way to slow them down. 2 They're Everywheres. Great way to spread out damage. Help us set up for better pain reactions. And then we've got lastly our Nature's Call. Return up to 3 creatures to their owner's hand. I'm not sure that there's any of my own creatures that I would want to do that with. Maybe set up for another Grey Rider turn, but the thing is that Grey Rider is like reap, so you can already do it if the Grey Riders are on the board. And I don't know that returning it in Untamed. Although if we're going Sanctum next turn, it'll keep them safe. So maybe that's what it'll be used for. I don't think there are any big untamed creatures have any like big play effects. No, I don't think so. So most of the time this will be against our opponent for things that have like standing board effects, or if something's captured amber from us, or if they have like a Brind the Fanatic that just gave us an amber, or a True Brew that made them lose some. But all in all, it's definitely not a bad deck. I'm excited to play it with one of my friends, see if I can't get some really cool Grey Rider combo stuff off. And like, I feel like these lower SAS decks, when you're playing them against other lower SAS decks, or even some higher SAS decks, it helps you kind of visualize the importance of what is in your hand versus what is in your deck, and whether you want to have a less optimal turn playing as many cards out of your hand so you can draw, versus maybe interacting with the board or having a more powerful card in hand, because hand sculpting, I think, is what's really shapes the game, and the reasons that you're choosing the houses that you're choosing on your turn is really what's going to impact it. And I think playing decks like this that have combos, but you have to set it up properly, you have to dig through it, it's not always going to go well. You might get the worst draw ever, but it kind of helps you establish that mindset, I think. So I really enjoy playing them whenever I can, which is why I'm not upset at this display. Its SAS wasn't super high, but that just means our next display, the more important display coming up, will have a bunch of really high SAS decks. Cross my fingers. But we've got one last section here, the speed and board. So the speed is basically punctuated equilibrium. Yerk gives us a little bit because it discards from hand, but Pit Lord also gives us a -1 because we'll have to pick Pit Lord next turn. The effective power is pretty high. Panpack of Jaga helps with that. Oh, I didn't even think about that with like a Grey Rider and stuff. Panpack of Jaga can give them all skirmish. So if we can keep them on the board, that could be really helpful. And then of course we have like Cermeros, Marma Swarm, and stuff like that. Our recursion is 2, that's just from Glimmer. Then creature protection is Gub, Grovekeeper, and Protect the Weak. Then we've got disruption in the form of punctuated equilibrium, making our opponent discard their hand. Nature's Call, returning cards to hand, Tandalin, discarding from archives, and Gonguzo, discarding from hand. And then in other, we have Panpaca Jaga and Poltergeist. Still not exactly sure what that means or how it's influenced, but it's cool to see it there. Get that out of the way. Okay, so that was the last deck of the display. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. Of course, all of this is in a playlist. I really appreciate the outpouring from the community, the support that you guys have given me. I've got a lot planned. There's something that I'm working on behind the scenes right now. My Winds of Exchange stuff, I haven't gotten the email yet, but as soon as that comes in, I mean, there's so many videos I'm gonna have to make of the collector's box and all these different things to kind of just show them off. I'll do a deck review of all my custom decks. There'll also be a little bit of KeyForge lore in them, in that they are based off of an old username that I had, so that'll be interesting to show you guys. And the playmat will be the custom playmat for those deck openings or reviews, depending on if I already open them. But thank you guys so much. There's way more to come. It's been super, super fun. I can't wait to make more. I hope you're enjoying the KeyForge combos. And if you can, like, subscribe, set up notifications. I've been posting videos kind of haphazardly. And into next month, I'm going to try and do an every Monday schedule. Month after that, we'll go back to the every other Monday. But I want to keep making stuff while the attention's real high. So turn on the notifications in case I make any surprise videos or anything like that. But thank you guys so much. And as a good friend Zach Armstrong always says, remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the person sitting across the table. You guys have a great rest of your day.